Hello, this index is looking into an interesting race from Mass Effect. A lot of science fiction has that one race or organisation that's just there to be cannon fodder. The Vorcha are Mass Effect's inclusion into this trope. They're a primitive race, violent and lust for combat, and they look like this. See the fangs, the pointy bits, the red eyes and more pointy bits? The thing is, the Vorcha are actually the most individually diverse species in Mass Effect, trumping that of even the humans. First contact between the Vorcha and the Human System Alliance was around 2184, and although they've been known to the Galactic community for a while longer than that, they're still relative newcomers to the Galactic scene. They hail from Heshtok in the Shrike Abyssal, a planet as welcoming as it sounds. The planet's volcanically active all the time, sulfur and other gases mix into the atmosphere, and most of the water is riddled with impurities. Therefore, most of the flora and fauna is equally harsh. This extreme environment gave rise to the Vorcha's defining characteristic, their adaptability. Their numbers eventually reached a point where they exceeded their natural population barriers, and overpopulation became a problem. Due to this, coupled with sparse resources, leads to a culture of almost constant conflict. Barbaric wars are fought over these diminishing resources, and that which is found is usually tainted by their planet's poisons, or rigged with some sort of naturally evolved defence. The Vorcha are therefore highly resistant to toxins. Despite all of this though, their average lifespan of a Vorcha is only about 20 years. Due to their constant, short, hard lives, there's no real government, no economy, no grand social structure overseeing all aspects of Vorcha life. Only nature, survival of the fittest. Their society, as it is clan-based, and small packs of Vorcha band together to scavenge for resources, but this is about the level of cooperation they can reach when left in their natural environment. In fact, even though they fight over resources, and even against one another, inter-clan, they often seek out other Vorcha when off-planet, as opposed to living among the other races. This is because for the Vorcha, violence amongst the pack is more than common. It's their way of maintaining order. Although clearly sentient and capable of learning, they seldom use a spoken language with one another, instead using body language to communicate, including lots of aggressive posturing and physical contact. This leads to many scrapes and fights, which serve to establish a hierarchy and act as the clan's form of self-regulation. When a clan population grows too large, new members leave to form their own packs. Clan allegiances are often short alliances of convenience due to their short lifespans and violent tendencies, and grudges aren't really a thing either. Maintaining a constant battle with another clan takes organisation and long-seated rivalries, neither of which are conclusive to survival in the here and now. Sort of a attitude of, you're in my way right now, but I don't care where you'll be tomorrow. No government means no military, as that would require large social collaboration. Something of such scale is beyond the Vorcha's level of achievement. Because of this cultural evolution, it's very difficult to intimidate a Vorcha. You see, Vorcha do not back down unless overwhelmed in person. A Vorcha could watch someone else get beaten down and not bat an eye. Their culture demands that they look out for themselves before anyone else. The Vorcha as a species have remained mostly unchanged for millennia, and it's likely their population experiences massive highs until their planet's resources are depleted, then their numbers dwindle to a more manageable level, until the planet's ecosystem recovers enough to support their boom again. Although this is just speculation. How else could their species have survived for millions of years? What makes it different this time though, is that they've reached space and begun to colonise other planets. Well, perhaps colonise isn't the right word. You see, they've got no spacefaring tech of their own. No Vorcha scientist ever developed an FTL drive, or circuitry for that matter. They spread out across the stars as, well, stowaways. Other species discovered the Vorcha, made contact with them, and left. Then word spread about the new race, and soon ships were coming and going from Heshtok, not all for diplomatic endeavours. But we'll get to that in a minute. The important thing is that the Vorcha are now out there among the other races, and they tend to congregate in the more dangerous corners of the universe. Places where the laws are more lax, environments harsh. They can thrive in these dark corners more so than the other races. The Omega Station, for example, a smelting pot of cultures and very few rules. Perhaps because of this, they often get recruited into mercenary gangs or other illegal activities. This creates a cycle where they are then shunned by the more civilized galactic community, and then seek further employment in circles of questionable intent. Unsurprisingly, their attitude for violence leads them to be favourites for the more infamous mercenary companies such as the Blood Pack. The name says it all. Of course, their adaptability helps. Speaking of, the Vorcha possess the most extreme regenerative capabilities due to their cellular structure. It takes a Vorcha a matter of months to regrow an entire limb, and they are virtually immune to disease. Despite this, they only live for 20 years, as mentioned. This may be due to the wear and tear cell regeneration takes on DNA once it's through the telomere buffer. However, if this were all that caused their short lifespans, then you'd expect to see a greater variety in age among the more passive of the Vorcha. We don't. This regeneration also shows itself as the secret to their incredible adaptability. They physically change. They alter themselves to their environment, for example a thicker hide when burned, or bigger pupils in the dark. This is why, despite the 0.7G of their home planet, they function fine in the 1G environments, as their musculature adapts. This adaptability takes a while though, meaning a Vorcha may only ever be able to alter its physiology once or twice in a lifespan. As mentioned, the Vorcha were often visited on their homeworld for a number of reasons. Once, young Vorcha were abducted by Asari and raised away from their harsh society in relatively peaceful environments. The resulting individuals aren't as aggressive as those that grew up on Heshtok, showing that their aggressive behaviour is literally an adaptation to the cultures they find themselves in. Militaries also took notice of this and created the Void Devils Fighter Squadron. A clan of socialised Vorcha were trained by a joint Turian-human military to act as a hyper-focused, aggressive fighter squadron. It worked incredibly well. Likewise, some young Vorcha were also raised as labourers and engineers off-planet, where their bodies and minds adapted to the tasks of fine motor control, and they became resistant to things like radiation burns and shocks and so on. However, it was the mercenary companies who would first see the potential in the Vorcha, especially the Blood Pack. Often adopted into mercenary packs, the individual Vorcha are literally beaten and subjected to severe conditions to promote their unique physical adaptability, to literally toughen them up. So an interesting question is posed. How far is too far with a species as adaptable as the Vorcha? The treatment they receive at the hands of the Blood Pack is brutal and definitely exploitative. But what about teaching them to be mechanics or bringing them off-world as fighter pilots? In these instances, they aren't subjected to extreme environments, but their life is literally being shaped by an outside influence. They have no say in the matter. Their individual adaptability means that they literally change to suit their environment, and with only a 20-year lifespan, they aren't likely to get a second chance. Their own planet cannot support them indefinitely, so without outside help they will likely suffer a staggering population decline. They've got no true art or religion, as both of these require a degree of devotion the Vorcha would rather apply to survival. War paint and tattoos are used on occasion, but these are often used more as identifying markers. Most advanced tech, clothing, and in fact everything the Vorcha own is acquired from the other races through theft, barter, or supplied to them as part of their vocation. The term socialised Vorcha is used to differentiate between Vorcha who are raised outside of their own culture, but how close is this to saying domesticated? Sorry to get so deep into objective and subjective moral views here, but the cultural index often tries to extrapolate and delve deeper into a species than merely reciting facts, and in the case of the Vorcha, their future is uncertain. Even more so now Mass Effect Andromeda canned the franchise. I'm still mad about that. Thanks for watching. What do you think of the Vorcha? Is there more to them than appears? Could you raise one of them to be a savant? The next index can be either on the Mondasian Cybermen or the Sontarans. Like the appropriate comment below to cast your vote, and I will see you next time on Certifiably in-game. Thanks for watching again, I've been Rick, and until next time, goodbye.